Hello everyone and welcome to English Today Journey. I am very happy you are here with me today. Thank you for taking your time to listen. Thank you for your kind messages, your support, and for sharing this podcast with other people. Your support really means a lot to me. It makes me feel happy and proud to know that you are using this show to improve your English and also to improve your life. My name is Jara, and today I want to help you practice listening and speaking while learning a very useful and powerful idea that you can use every single day. As always, remember that you can repeat after me anytime. Speak out loud when you can. Copy the sentences you hear. This will help train your mouth and your ears together. This is one of the best ways to grow your English step by step. Today's topic is simple, practical, and very helpful. It is called the 80-20 rule. Maybe you have heard of this idea before, and maybe you have not. If this is new for you, don't worry at all. I will explain it slowly, clearly, and with easy examples, so you can understand it well and start using it right away in your daily life. So, what is the 80-20 rule? The idea is very simple. The rule says that 80% of your results come from only 20% of your actions. In easy words, this means that a small number of the things you do give you most of the results you see. Not everything you do has the same value. Some actions are very powerful, and some actions are not very powerful. When we can find the few actions that matter the most and focus on them, we can get better results with less effort and less stress. This idea is also called the Pareto principle. It is named after a smart man called Vilfredo Pareto. You may hear people say it as Pareto or Pareto. Both are okay. Now, why does this rule matter? It matters because life is busy. We have many tasks to do, many messages to answer, and many choices to make every day. It is very easy to feel tired, busy, and stressed, but still feel like we are not moving forward. The 80-20 rule helps us focus. It helps us see which things are truly important and which things give us the biggest benefits. When you use the 80-20 rule, you can save time, save energy, and reduce stress. You can improve faster at school, at work, and especially in learning English. Instead of trying to do everything, you learn to do the right things. This simple idea can change the way you study, work, and live. In the next part, we will look at easy examples that are simple to imagine and easy to use in real life. When you think about studying, the 80-20 rule is very easy to see. Imagine you study 10 different topics for a test. You spend time on all of them, but later you realize that only 2 topics appear on most of the test questions. If you focus more on those 2 important topics, your score can improve very quickly. You do not need to study everything in the same way. Some topics matter more than others. The same idea works with friends and support. You may know many people and talk to many friends, but usually only 1 or 2 friends give you the most love, advice, and encouragement. These friends listen to you, help you when you feel sad, and support your dreams. When you spend more time with these people, you feel happier, stronger, and more confident. They are your important 20%. Now think about work tasks. At work or school, you often have many small tasks to do every day. Some tasks feel busy, but do not really move your project forward. However, a few key tasks make a big difference. When you do these important tasks first, you can clearly feel progress. You feel more motivated because your work starts to matter more. The 80-20 rule also helps with health. There are thousands of fitness tips online. People talk about special diets, hard workouts, and expensive programs. But for many people, simple habits like sleeping well and walking every day give most of the health benefits. When you sleep enough and move your body daily, you feel better, have more energy, and think more clearly. These simple habits are often your powerful 20%. Now let's talk about how to use the 80-20 rule to learn English. There are many ways to study English. You can use grammar books, long vocabulary lists, movies, songs, podcasts, speaking practice, writing practice, apps, and more. All of these can help, but they do not help in the same way. Some methods give you much better results than others. The goal is to find your powerful 20%. Start by choosing power skills. Pick 2 or 3 activities that give you the biggest improvement. For many learners, these activities are listening to clear English every day, such as podcasts or short videos, and speaking out loud daily. This can include shadowing, where you repeat what you hear, or talking to yourself for a few minutes. Another powerful skill is learning high-frequency vocabulary, which means common words and phrases you use often. Next, make it tiny and daily. Small actions are easier to repeat every day. For example, listen to English for 10 minutes. Do 5 minutes of shadowing by repeating what you hear, copy the rhythm and sound, then learn 5 new useful words or phrases. Try to use these words in simple sentences. Small daily practice is much better than long study once a week. Also, focus on common language. Learn words and phrases you need in real life. This includes greetings, asking for help, giving opinions, making plans, and talking about work or school. These are the words you will use again and again. This is your 20% that brings 80% of your results. Always repeat out loud. When you speak, you train your mouth, your tongue, and your brain together. This helps your English sound more natural and automatic. Finally, track your wins. Every week, ask yourself what helped you the most. If listening and shadowing helped a lot, keep doing them. If something did not help, do less of it and focus on what truly works. Now it is time for a quick practice. Please repeat after me, slowly and clearly. I focus on the few actions that matter. Small steps every day make big results. I choose the 20% that gives me 80% of my progress. I listen. I shadow. I use common phrases. I stay consistent, and I improve. To help you use this idea easily, here is a simple daily plan that anyone can follow. It does not take much time, and it fits into a busy life. Morning, 5 to 10 minutes. Read or listen to a short English text. This can be a short article, a dialogue, or a small part of a podcast. After that, choose 2 or 3 sentences and shadow them. This means you listen and repeat at the same time. Try to copy the sound, the rhythm, and the speed.
Do not worry about mistakes. Just try.
Afternoon, 10 to 15 minutes. Learn 5 common phrases that you can use today. These phrases can be useful for work, school, or daily life. For example, asking for help, giving an opinion, or making a simple plan. After learning them, make 1 short voice note. Say the phrases out loud in your own sentences. This helps you remember them better. Evening, 10 minutes. Watch a short video or listen to a short part of a podcast. Pause often and repeat what you hear out loud. Try to match the speaker's pronunciation and rhythm. This helps your English sound more natural. End of the day, 2 minutes. Write 1 short line and answer this question: what helped me the most today? This simple question helps you discover your personal 20% for tomorrow. The 80-20 rule also works in real life, not only for English. At school, focus on key chapters, important examples, and past exam questions. At work, do the task that moves the project forward first, before small busy tasks. At home, keep simple habits that make life easier, like tidying for 5 minutes, planning tomorrow, and sleeping on time. For health, walk every day and drink enough water. These are simple but strong habits. Now, let's find your personal 20%. This is a very easy exercise. Take a piece of paper and draw 2 columns. On the left side, write everything you do to learn English. On the right side, put a star next to the 2 or 3 activities that help you the most. Tomorrow, do those start activities first. Do them every day. This is the 80-20 rule in action. There are some common mistakes to avoid. Do not try to do too many things at once.
Keep it simple.
Do not wait for the perfect time. Start small and start now. Do not study rare or difficult words and ignore common ones. Learn useful language first. And do not only read and listen without speaking. You must use your voice. Finally, here is a tiny 7-day challenge. For the next 7 days, listen to English for 10 minutes, shadow for 5 minutes, learn 5 common phrases, and use those phrases once in real life or record yourself. At night, write 1 sentence. The most helpful thing today was, this small challenge can create big change if you stay consistent. After 7 days, look back at your notes. When you read what you wrote each day, you will clearly see your 20%. You will notice which actions helped you the most and which ones did not make a big difference. Remember, my friends, small and smart changes create big results. The 80-20 rule is very simple, but it is also very powerful. When you choose the few actions that truly matter and do them every day, you will see your English grow, and you will also see positive changes in your life. The main idea is easy to understand. A small number of actions bring the biggest change. A few things we do again and again create most of our success, most of our progress, and most of the improvement we see. This idea is not complicated, and it is very useful in daily life. Let me explain it again in a very easy way and give you clear steps you can use starting today. Imagine this simple example with English study. You study English for 10 hours every week. During those 10 hours, you do many activities. You read books, write notes, watch videos, listen to podcasts, study grammar, and practice speaking. Now here is the surprise. Maybe only 2 hours of those 10 hours give you most of your real progress. That is just 20% of your time. Those 2 hours might be listening to clear English and practicing speaking out loud. These activities help you feel more confident, understand better, and speak more clearly. The other 8 hours are not useless, but they may not help you as much as those 2 powerful hours. Here is another easy example from daily life. Think about your closet. You may have many clothes, maybe 20 shirts or more. But how many do you really wear often? Probably only 4 or 5 shirts. These are your favorite ones. You feel comfortable in them, and you choose them again and again. A small number of items give you most of the value. This is exactly the same idea as the 80-20 rule. The numbers are not always perfect. It is not always exactly 80% and 20%. Sometimes it might feel like 70/30ths or 90/10ths. That is okay. The important point is this. A small part gives a big result. Not everything is equal. Some actions are much more powerful than others, even if they look small or simple. So, where does this idea come from? This idea is called the Pareto principle. It is named after an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto. Around the year 1896, he noticed something interesting. He saw that about 80% of the land in Italy was owned by only 20% of the people. Later, people started seeing the same pattern in many other areas of life, such as business, learning, health, and personal growth. The lesson for us is clear. We do not need to do everything. We need to do the right things. Find your powerful actions.
Focus on them.
Repeat them daily. When you do this, learning English becomes easier, more enjoyable, and much more effective. Small actions, done consistently, can truly change your English and your life. This idea does not stop with learning English. People see the 80-20 rule in many areas of life, such as business, technology, health, and personal growth. For example, in business, it is very common that 80% of sales come from only 20% of customers. In software and technology, 80% of problems often come from 20% of bugs. In fitness, you may notice that 20% of exercises give 80% of the results, such as walking, basic strength training, or stretching. These examples show us one clear truth. Not everything has the same value. Now, let's talk about how to use this idea for learning English. The most important question to ask yourself is this: what few things give me the biggest results? The 80-20 rule helps you find what truly works for you, not for everyone else. When you know your powerful actions, learning becomes easier and faster. For many English learners, some activities are often very powerful. These include listening to clear English every day, such as podcasts or short videos, speaking out loud, shadowing short conversations, using new words in real sentences, and practicing common phrases you need again and again. These activities help your brain, ears, and mouth work together. To find your personal 20%, follow these simple steps. First, make a list of everything you do to learn English. Write about 10 to 15 activities. This can include reading, grammar study, listening, speaking, writing, apps, or videos. Next, track what you do for one full week. Write the activity and how much time you spend on it each day. After 1 week, look at your results. Ask yourself, which activities helped me understand more? Which ones helped me speak better or feel more confident? Put a star next to the top 2 or 3 activities that gave you the best results. These are your powerful actions. Start doing these activities first every day. Reduce the time you spend on activities that help less. Here is a simple 7-day plan you can try. From day 1 to day 7, listen to English for 10 minutes. Speak out loud for 5 minutes. Shadow short sentences or record yourself speaking. Learn 5 useful phrases and use them once during the day. At the end of each day, write 1 sentence. The most helpful thing today was. After 7 days, you will clearly see which actions helped you the most. Those actions are your 20%. Let's do a quick practice together. Repeat after me. A small number of things make a big difference. I will find a few actions that help me most. I will do those actions every day. Small steps done well make big results. So why is the 80-20 rule so useful? Now that we understand what it means, we can see why so many successful people use it every day. The 80-20 rule is not just a nice idea or an interesting fact. It is a smart way of thinking. It helps us save time, do better work, reduce stress, and live in a more focused and calm way. When you stop trying to do everything and start doing what truly matters, learning English becomes simpler, clearer, and much more effective. In very simple words, the 80-20 rule helps us stop wasting time on things that do not really matter. Instead, it teaches us to put our energy into the things that truly make a difference. This is one of the most important lessons you can learn from this rule. Here is the key truth. Most things in life are not equal. At first, this idea may sound strange. Many of us believe that if we work more hours, we will get more results. We also believe that if we do many tasks in one day, we will become more successful. But the truth is different. Not all actions give the same results. Some actions are much stronger than others. Sometimes, just a few small actions create the biggest success. The 80-20 rule helps us find those special actions and focus on them. Let's look at some real-life examples to understand this better. First example, your to-do list. Imagine you have a list of 10 tasks to do today. At first, you may think all 10 tasks are equally important. But when you look more carefully, you often see that only 2 tasks are truly important. These 2 tasks may help you finish an important project, learn a useful skill, or move closer to your main goal. The other 8 tasks may keep you busy, but they do not bring much real progress. So instead of trying to do everything, the smart choice is to do the 2 most important tasks first. This is the 80-20 rule in action. Second example, your closet. Think again about your clothes. You may own 20 shirts, but if you're honest, you probably wear the same 4 or 5 shirts again and again. These are the shirts you feel comfortable in. They fit well, look good, and make you feel confident. This is the 80-20 rule. A small number of your clothes give you most of the comfort and value. This teaches us something very powerful. We do not really need so many things. We depend on just a few important ones. Third example, business. Now, imagine a company with 100 customers. At first, you may think all customers are equal. But when the company looks at the numbers, it often finds that only 20 customers bring 80% of the profit. These customers buy often, trust the company, and stay for a long time. The other customers are still important, but they do not bring the same value. Because of this, smart companies focus more time and care on their best customers. The lesson from all these examples is very clear. Busy does not always mean productive. Doing many things does not always mean making progress. What really matters is doing the right things. This is why the 80-20 rule is so helpful for learning English and for life. Instead of trying to study everything, you learn to focus on what helps you most. Instead of feeling tired and stressed, you feel clear and confident. You stop chasing many small things and start building real progress. When you understand this rule, you begin to ask better questions. You ask, what few actions help me the most? What should I do first today? What can I do every day without stress? These questions help you grow faster and smarter. Remember, you do not need to be perfect. You only need to be focused. Small, smart actions done again and again can create big changes in your English, your work, and your life. These customers buy often, pay on time, and recommend the company to other people. The other 80 customers are still important, but they do not bring much money to the business. So, what is the smart decision for the company? The smart move is to focus on the 20%. The company takes special care of these customers. It gives them better service, more attention, and more value. When these customers feel happy and respected, the company grows faster and in a smarter way. This is the 80-20 rule working in real life. Now, let's talk about why this rule matters for you. The 80-20 rule is powerful because it teaches us how to think more clearly. It helps us stop spending time on activities that make us feel busy but do not really change our life. Many people feel tired at the end of the day, but they are not satisfied because they did not make real progress. The 80-20 rule helps solve this problem. Instead of trying to do everything, we learn to focus on the few things that matter most. When we do this, we save time. We save energy. We feel less stress. We feel more calm and more in control of our life. This is how the 80-20 rule can make your life easier, better, and more successful. Now, the next question is very important. How can we use the 80-20 rule in daily life? This is the most exciting part because now the 80-20 rule is not just an idea. It becomes something you can really use every day. And remember, you do not need to be a business expert or a scientist to use this rule. Anyone can use it. Students, workers, parents, and of course, English learners like you. Let's look at some simple areas where you can apply the 80-20 rule. First, at work or at school. Many people believe that being busy means being productive. But this is not true. You can be busy all day, moving from one task to another and still not finish the most important work. This is where the 80-20 rule helps you. Ask yourself the simple question, what are the few tasks that give me the biggest results? At work, maybe it is writing one clear report, finishing one key project, or preparing for an important meeting. These tasks may move your career forward more than many small tasks. At school, maybe it is practicing past exam questions, understanding key lessons, or reviewing important topics instead of reading everything again and again. When you focus on these important tasks first, you feel real progress. You feel more confident. You stop feeling lost and overwhelmed. This is the power of the 80-20 rule in daily life. The lesson is simple but very strong. Being busy is not the same as moving forward. When you learn to choose the right actions and repeat them every day, you change the way you work, study, and live. When you work or study, success does not come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things. Instead of spending many hours answering emails, joining long meetings, or reading every single page of a textbook, it is much smarter to focus your time and energy on the 20% of tasks that bring 80% of the results. These tasks give you the best chance to succeed. When you focus on them first, you move forward faster and feel less tired. Now, let's talk about students and exams. Many students study all day, but they still do not get good grades. This can feel very frustrating. The reason is often simple. They are working hard, but they are not working smart. This is where the 80-20 rule can really help. Look carefully at your exam subjects. Notice which chapters or topics appear again and again in tests. Think about the questions teachers like to ask most often. These are usually the most important topics. When you spend more time on these key areas, you use your energy in a smarter way. If you focus on the 20% of topics that give you 80% of the marks, your study becomes more effective. You do not need to study everything in the same way. You save time. You feel less stress. And even better, your results improve. This method helps you feel more confident because you know you are studying the right things. The 80-20 rule is also very useful in your personal life. It does not only work for school or work. Think about your relationships. You may know many people, but only a few give you the most love, support, and happiness. These people listen to you, care about you, and help you feel strong. When you spend more time with them, your life feels better and more balanced. Now think about how you use your free time. Some activities give you real peace and joy. Maybe it is walking in nature, reading a good book, listening to music, or talking with a close friend. Other activities may only waste your energy and leave you feeling tired. When you focus on the activities that truly help you relax and feel happy, life becomes calmer and easier. This is also the 80-20 rule at work. Now, let's apply this idea directly to learning English. There are many ways to study English. You can read books, memorize grammar rules, learn long vocabulary lists, watch movies, listen to podcasts, write essays, and much more. All of these can help, but they do not help in the same way. Not all methods give equal results. Some methods are much more powerful than others. For example, listening daily to clear English is one of the best ways to train your ears. It helps you understand English faster and more naturally. Speaking out loud is another powerful action. When you repeat sentences, shadow speakers, or have short conversations, your confidence grows. Your fluency improves step by step. Your mouth and brain learn to work together. Another very strong habit is practicing common phrases. These are phrases you use again and again in real life, such as greetings, asking for help, giving opinions, or making plans. When you learn and use these phrases often, you start to sound natural very quickly. You do not need rare or difficult words at the beginning. Useful language gives you the biggest progress. The most important lesson is simple. You do not need to do everything. You need to do what works best for you. When you find your powerful 20%, and do it every day, learning English becomes easier, faster, and more enjoyable. Small, smart actions, done consistently, can create big changes in your English and in your life. Some activities may take only 20% of your study time, but they give you 80% of your progress. This is the main idea of the 80-20 rule. The key lesson is this: the 80-20 rule is not about working less. It is about working smarter. It helps you choose the actions that really matter and focus on them. When you know what is most important, you spend your time on the tasks, people, and activities that truly make a difference. That is why successful people in business, education, health, and personal life all use this principle. They don't try to do everything. Instead, they focus on the few things that create the biggest results. Using the 80-20 rule in learning English works the same way. It makes studying easier, faster, and much more effective. Now, let's look at one of the most important parts for us: how to use the 80-20 rule in learning English. Many learners make the mistake of trying to study too many things at once. They look at long lists of difficult vocabulary, complicated grammar rules, and pages of exercises. They spend hours reading or memorizing, but they often feel tired and stuck. Here is the truth. In daily life, we use only a small number of words and grammar structures over and over. Research shows that about 20% of the most common English words are used in 80% of conversations. This means that if you learn these words well and use them often, you can understand most everyday conversations and sound much more fluent. Think about words like go, want, need, have, make, do, take, get. You hear them everywhere in conversations, podcasts, videos, and songs. You do not need to know every single word in the dictionary. You only need to master the words that people actually use most of the time. Focusing on the right words gives you big results with less effort. Now, let's think about skills. Many learners spend most of their time reading books or memorizing grammar rules. But in real life, the skills we use the most are speaking and listening. The 80-20 rule tells us to focus on these essential skills first. If you spend just 20% of your study time on the most useful activities, like listening to podcasts, having short conversations, or watching simple English videos, you'll get 80% of your improvement. Other activities are still useful, but they give smaller results. For example, memorizing long lists of rare words or doing endless grammar exercises may feel productive, but they often do not improve your real-life communication quickly. By focusing on listening, speaking, and common phrases, you train your ears, mouth, and brain together. You improve faster and feel more confident. The 80-20 rule also applies to how you organize your study. Instead of trying to do everything in one day, pick the top 2 or 3 actions that bring the best results. For example, you could listen to English for 10 minutes, shadow or repeat sentences for 5 minutes, and practice 5 common phrases in real sentences. These small actions may seem tiny, but when done every day, they create real progress. The important lesson is simple. You don't need to study everything. You need to study what matters most. Focus on common words, useful phrases, listening, and speaking. Spend more time on these high-value activities, and your English will improve much faster than if you try to do everything at once. The 80-20 rule is about working smart, not hard. By applying this rule, your study becomes easier, faster, and more enjoyable. You save time, reduce stress, and see real progress. Small, consistent actions done well make big results. Focus on the 20%, and you will get 80% of the improvement. This simple principle is one of the most powerful tools for learning English and for life. Now that we understand the 80-20 rule, it's time to focus on what really works. In learning English, this means you do not try to do everything at once. Instead, you focus on the activities that give you the biggest results. For example, if your goal is to speak better, spend more time speaking out loud. Practice short conversations, repeat sentences, or shadow what you hear in podcasts or videos. If your goal is to understand conversations, spend more time listening. Daily practice in these key areas gives much more improvement than trying to memorize long lists of words or read every grammar book. The 80-20 rule is not just for English. It also works in your personal life. Think about the people around you. You may know many friends, but probably only 3 or 4 truly make you feel loved, supported, and happy. These few friends give you most of your energy and joy. The 80-20 rule reminds us to spend more time with the people who lift us up and less time with those who drain our energy or bring stress. This simple choice can make your personal life much calmer and happier. Now, think about your daily activities. Some activities make you feel bored, stressed, or tired. Others give you peace, joy, and energy. Maybe walking in nature relaxes you, reading a book inspires you, listening to music refreshes your mind, or spending time with your family fills you with happiness. These small activities may seem simple, but they create big results in how you feel. This is the 80-20 rule in action. A small number of actions bring most of your happiness and energy. The key lesson is simple. Look at your life and find the small actions that create the biggest results. It could be in your work, studies, English learning, or relationships. Focus more on these important things. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what really matters. When you do that, your life becomes simpler, more productive, and more joyful. So, what comes next? The exciting part is putting the 80-20 rule into action. Now that you know what it means and why it is useful, you can start applying it today. We can take small, clear steps that help you focus on the few activities that bring the biggest results. You don't need to change everything at once. Small, smart changes can create a huge impact over time. Let's move to the steps to use the 80-20 rule in your life. First, think about all the things you do in a day: your work, study, hobbies, relationships, and free time. Make a list of everything. Then, look carefully and ask yourself, which 2 or 3 actions give me the biggest results or happiness? These are your personal 20%. Once you know your top activities, focus on them first every day. Spend more time on them and less time on things that do not matter as much. The 80-20 rule works in all areas of life. At school or work, it helps you do the most important tasks first. At home, it helps you focus on habits that make life easier. In learning English, it helps you improve faster by concentrating on speaking, listening, and useful phrases. In your personal life, it helps you spend time with people and activities that give you the most joy. The main idea is simple. Small, focused actions create the biggest results. Start today by choosing your most important tasks, people, and activities. Repeat them every day. Over time, you will notice your English, your work, your studies, and your personal life improve quickly. Life becomes easier, happier, and more productive when you focus on the few things that really matter. Starting today, you can use the 80-20 rule in your life. Don't worry, it is not difficult. You don't need to make big changes or do everything perfectly. The key is to take small, smart steps. Even little changes can create big results over time. Here are 5 simple steps you can follow to start using the 80-20 rule today. Step 1. Look at what you do every day. The first step is about awareness. Pay attention to your normal day, from morning to night. What do you spend your time on? Do you go to work or school? Do you study English? Do you watch videos, scroll social media, or play games? Do you cook, clean, help your family, or spend time with friends? Take a moment to notice where your hours go. Some people are busy all day but don't really know where their time disappears. You can even write down everything you do. It helps you see your day clearly. Slow down and observe yourself for a day or 2. Step 2. Find what gives you the biggest results or happiness. This step is the heart of the 80-20 rule. Out of everything you do, only a few things bring most of the results or happiness. Ask yourself, which activities help me move forward? Which things make me feel peaceful, happy, or satisfied? Which actions give real value to my life? For example, reading one good book might teach you more than watching 10 random videos. A 15-minute conversation in English with a friend may help you speak better more than 2 hours of reading grammar. A short walk in nature can improve your mood more than scrolling on your phone for hours. The key question is, what are the few things that really help me? Those few things are your personal top 20%. These are the actions that give most of your progress, happiness, or results. Step 3. Reduce the things that give small results. Now that you know what helps you, it becomes clear what does not help. These are activities that take time, but give little value. Maybe you spend hours scrolling social media or watching videos that don't teach or inspire you. Maybe you do many small tasks just to feel busy, but they don't move your life forward. The 80-20 rule teaches us to spend less time on these low-value activities and more on the few actions that really matter. It's not about stopping everything fun or relaxing. It's about choosing what truly benefits you most. For English learners, this could mean focusing on listening, speaking, and using common phrases instead of memorizing endless vocabulary lists. For personal life, it could mean spending more time with a friend who truly supports you, or doing activities that give real energy and joy. By reducing low-value activities, you free your time and energy for what really matters. You will feel less stressed, more in control, and more productive. This step is very important because it helps you focus on the top 20% that creates 80% of the results. When you follow these first 3 steps, observe your day, identify what really helps, and reduce low-value activities, you are already using the 80-20 rule in a practical way. Small, consistent steps done every day create big changes over time. Life becomes simpler, more joyful, and more productive. You don't need to stop everything that doesn't matter. The goal is to reduce low-value activities little by little. Even saving 30 minutes a day can give you more energy and time for the things that truly make a difference. This is the key to using the 80-20 rule effectively. Step 4. Focus more on the 20% that matters most. This step is about making smart choices every day. Once you know which actions give you the biggest results, give them more time and attention. For example, if speaking English with a friend or in a small group helps you improve faster, do it more often. If exercising in the morning makes you feel healthy and happy, make it a daily habit. If spending time with a few close people brings you joy, focus on them rather than trying to attend every party or social event. The idea is simple. Choose the few things that give you the most value and make them your priority. These are your top 20%, the actions that will bring the most progress, happiness, or success. By focusing on them consistently, your results will improve much faster than if you try to do everything. Step 5. Keep checking and adjusting. Life is always changing. What works today may not work tomorrow. That's why it is important to review your actions regularly. You can do this once a week or once a month. Ask yourself, am I still focusing on the right 20%? Are these actions helping me the most? Do I need to change something? It's okay if your answers change over time. The 80-20 rule is not a one-time action. It's a way of thinking. It helps you continuously ask what really matters and how can I spend more time on it. Common mistakes people make with the 80-20 rule. Now that you know how to apply the 80-20 rule, it's important to learn about common mistakes. Mistakes are normal and part of the learning process. But if you know them in advance, you can avoid them and use the rule in a smarter way. Mistake 1. Thinking the 80-20 rule means doing less or being lazy. Some people hear about the 80-20 rule and misunderstand it. They think, great, I can do only 20% of the work and get everything done. This is wrong. The 80-20 rule is not about avoiding work or being lazy. It's about working smarter, not less. It helps you focus on what really produces results instead of spending energy on low-value tasks. The truth is you still need effort, discipline, and consistency. The difference is that your effort is focused on the actions that make the biggest difference, not on tasks that don't matter. For example, in English learning, instead of trying to memorize hundreds of rare words, you focus on the most common words, useful phrases, and speaking practice. In your personal life, instead of trying to please everyone, you focus on the few people who truly support and uplift you. By avoiding this first mistake, you use the 80-20 rule effectively, gaining progress, confidence, and happiness without unnecessary stress. Some people hear the 80-20 rule and think, great, I will do 20% of the work and get 80% of the results. I can stop working hard. I can just relax and do almost nothing. But, my friend, that is not what the rule is about. The 80-20 rule is not about avoiding work or being lazy. It's about working smart, not less. You still need effort. You still need action. Sometimes, yes, you even need to work hard. The difference is that instead of spreading your energy on many small tasks that don't matter, you focus your energy on the few things that bring the biggest results. Think about a student studying for exams. One student studies 5 hours every day, but most of that time is spent copying notes or reading things they don't really understand. That is a lot of work, but it's not smart work. Another student studies only 2 hours, but uses that time practicing past exam questions, asking the teacher about difficult topics, and reviewing what matters most. That student is working smarter, not harder, and often gets better results. The lesson is simple. The 80-20 rule helps you focus on what really matters, not just work less. It's about putting your energy where it counts, whether in school, work, or life. Mistake 2. Trying to be perfect with numbers. Another common mistake is thinking the 80-20 rule is always exact, like a math formula. Some people believe it must always be exactly 80% of results from 20% of actions. But in real life, it's not perfect. Sometimes it looks more like 70/30ths, sometimes 90/10ths, or even 60/40ths. The exact numbers are not important. The main point is this: a small number of things give you most of the results. For example, maybe you have 20 shirts, but you mostly wear 5 of them. That's not exactly 80/20ths, but the idea is the same. Or in a business, maybe 3 clients bring 90% of your income. The numbers are different, but the principle is clear. Focus on the few things that really matter. So, don't waste time trying to calculate every minute or every percentage. You don't need to measure every detail. The point is not precision, it's about seeing the pattern and acting on it. Focus your energy on the actions that give the biggest results and let go of the rest. By understanding this, you can use the 80/20 rule in a practical, realistic way. You don't need to know the exact numbers. You just need to find what gives the most value in your life, your studies, your work, or your English learning. That is the real power of the 80/20 rule. The goal of the 80/20 rule is simple. Notice what works best, notice what helps you grow, and do more of it. But there are some common mistakes people make when using this rule. Let's look at the third one. Mistake 1. Thinking the 80/20 rule means being lazy. No, it doesn't. It's about working smart and putting your energy where it matters most. You still need to act, focus, and sometimes work hard, but on the right things. Mistake 2. Trying to follow exact numbers. The 80/20 rule is not always exactly 80% of results from 20% of actions. Sometimes it's 70/30, 90/10ths, or even 60/40. The numbers are not the main point. What matters is the principle. A few things give most of the results. Mistake 3. Ignoring the small things that still matter. The 80/20 rule tells you to focus on the most important things, but it does not mean the rest has no value. Some smaller activities may not bring huge results, but they keep life running smoothly and make big results possible. For example, simple things like cleaning your home, cooking meals, or replying to messages may not seem powerful, but they are necessary for a balanced life. Things like rest, kindness, and self-care may not look productive, but they are vital. Without rest, your brain gets tired. Without kindness, relationships weaken. Without small daily care, life feels heavy. So the 80/20 rule is not about cutting everything else out. It is about spending more time on what brings the most value, while still keeping the small, important things in place. Example for English learning. Imagine you are learning English. You notice that speaking practice gives you the fastest improvement. That's great.
You start spending more time speaking.
But then you think, if speaking is my top 20%, grammar, reading, and writing are useless. I can ignore them. That would be a mistake. Even if speaking is your main skill builder, grammar and reading still help. Grammar gives you structure. Reading teaches new words and ideas. Writing helps you remember and practice. They may not be the most powerful tools, but they support your progress and make your top activities even more effective. The lesson is clear. Focus on the few things that give the most results, but don't ignore the small, helpful activities. They may seem minor, but they keep your life balanced and support your bigger goals. Use the 80/20 rule to find your top actions, give them more time and attention, and keep doing the smaller necessary activities too. That's how you work smart, grow faster, and enjoy the process without feeling overwhelmed. The 80/20 rule is all about balance. It helps us see that a small part of what we do gives most of the results. But it doesn't mean we ignore everything else. The idea is to focus more on the top 20% of activities that make the biggest difference, while still taking care of smaller, necessary tasks. For example, when you learn English, speaking practice might give you the fastest improvement. That's your top 20%. But grammar, reading, and writing still support your progress. Even if they don't give huge results alone, they help your speaking and understanding improve over time. Ignoring them completely would slow down your progress. The rule is about choosing wisely, not cutting out everything else. At work, The 80-20 rule works in the same way. Maybe your most important tasks are writing reports or talking to clients. These are the actions that make the most impact. Focusing on them helps you succeed and helps your company grow. But if you completely ignore small things like answering emails, being on time for meetings, or helping teammates, people might think you are careless or unreliable. Small actions like politeness, respect, or teamwork may not give instant big results, but they are necessary for long-term success. The lesson is simple. Use the 80-20 rule as a guide, not as a strict law. Don't let it become an excuse to avoid responsibilities, try to be perfect, or ignore the small things that keep life balanced and kind. The best way to understand the 80-20 rule is to see it in everyday life. You don't need a business or school setting to notice it. It's about patterns. A small part of what you do often gives the majority of your results. Once you notice this, you can make smarter choices, save time, and focus on what really matters. Let's start with something simple, your clothes. Open your closet and take a look. You probably own many items, shirts, pants, dresses, jackets. But if you pay attention, you'll see that you wear the same few items most of the time. Maybe you have 20 shirts, but you really use only 4 or 5 regularly. Your favorite jeans, a soft t-shirt, a warm sweater, these are the pieces you love, the ones that are most comfortable or make you feel good. The rest of the clothes just sit in the back of the closet, waiting for a special occasion that rarely comes. This is a perfect example of the 80-20 rule. A small number of your clothes give you most of your value and joy. Another way to see it is in other areas of life. At work or school, some tasks make the biggest difference in your progress. In friendships, a few friends might give most of your happiness and support. In health, a couple of daily habits like walking or sleeping well may give you most of the benefits. The 80-20 rule helps you focus on these important things while still keeping the smaller, necessary parts in balance. It's not about being lazy, careless, or ignoring responsibilities. It's about working smarter, being thoughtful, and creating a life where small, important actions give you big results. When you understand this, life becomes easier. You spend less time on what doesn't matter and more energy on what truly helps you succeed, feel happy, and grow. Even small, simple actions repeated regularly can give huge results. The 80-20 rule is not a trick. It's a way of seeing life clearly, noticing what really works, and making smarter choices every day. That is the 80-20 rule in action. A small number of things often give the biggest results. Let's look at more examples from everyday life to make it clear. Example 1. Clothes. You probably have many shirts, pants, jackets, or dresses in your closet. But if you pay attention, you will see that you wear the same few items most of the time. Maybe you have 20 shirts, but only 4 or 5 are your favorites. Your favorite jeans, a soft t-shirt, or a warm sweater are the ones you reach for again and again. The rest stay at the back of the closet, waiting for a rare occasion. These few clothes give you most of your comfort, style, and happiness. That's the 80-20 principle. A small number of items bring the most value. Example 2. Food. Think about the meals and snacks you eat every day. Most people have a few favorite foods they eat repeatedly. Maybe you eat rice and chicken often. Maybe your breakfast is always eggs and toast. Perhaps you drink tea or coffee every single day, even if you know many other foods exist. You depend mostly on a small number of favorites. This is another example of the 80-20 rule. In fact, about 20% of the foods you buy or cook usually make up 80% of your meals. This means you don't need to fill your kitchen with every possible ingredient. Focus on the foods you actually eat and enjoy. It makes shopping easier, saves money, and reduces waste. Example 3. Friendships and relationships. If you look closely at the people in your life, you will notice that only a few bring the most happiness, support, and peace. You may have many contacts on your phone or hundreds of connections online, but only a small number truly care, listen, and make you smile. These friends are your top 20%. They are the ones worth your time, attention, and love. Focusing on these relationships brings more joy and energy than trying to spend time with everyone equally. Example 4. Work and study. The 80-20 rule works at school or in your job as well. You probably have many tasks on your to-do list, but not all of them are equally important. At school, spending time on key topics and practicing what you really need to know gives much better results than quickly reading everything. At work, a few important projects or tasks bring the most success, while others just keep you busy without much effect. Once you identify the 20% of tasks that give the best results, you can focus there and reduce time spent on less important things. This makes your work smarter and more productive. Example 5. Learning English. The 80-20 rule is extremely helpful when learning a new language. Not all study methods give the same results. A few activities, like listening to English every day, practicing speaking out loud, shadowing short conversations, and learning common phrases, usually give the most progress. These might only take up a small part of your study time, but they give the biggest improvement in understanding, speaking, and confidence. Meanwhile, spending hours memorizing rare words or reading long grammar rules may not help as much. Focusing on the top 20% of activities gives you the most benefit and faster progress. The 80-20 rule is everywhere, in your clothes, food, friends, work, school, and even learning English. The lesson is simple: a small number of things often give most of the results. By noticing what works best and focusing on it, you can save time, energy, and effort while still getting better results. Small actions done consistently in the right areas bring big results. The key is to identify your personal 20%, the things that make the most difference, and make them a priority, while still taking care of necessary smaller tasks. The 80-20 rule also works for learning English. You don't need to study every word in the dictionary. Studies show that just 1,000 to 2,000 common words cover most daily conversations. If you focus on these useful words and practice speaking and listening regularly, you will improve much faster. Many learners make the mistake of spending too much time memorizing rare words or complicated grammar rules that they will rarely use. That is the 80% of study that gives little result. Smart learners focus on the 20% that really matters, practicing real conversations, using useful phrases, and speaking often. These few activities give the most improvement. Example: business and money. The 80-20 rule also appears in business and money management. In many businesses, 80% of profits come from just 20% of clients or products. For instance, if you sell items online, a small number of products may sell most of the time. By focusing on these bestsellers, you can grow your business faster, without doubling your work. Money habits work the same way. A few smart habits, like saving a small amount every week, avoiding unnecessary spending, and staying out of debt, can bring large financial benefits over time. Instead of trying to do everything at once, focus on the small actions that give the most results. The magic of the 80-20 rule is that it appears everywhere. In the clothes you wear, in the food you eat, in your friendships, in your work and studies, in learning English, and in business and money. It is a simple idea that helps you focus on what truly matters. By noticing the small number of things that bring the biggest results, you can save time and energy while achieving more. The rule teaches us to do less, but achieve more. That is the real power of the 80-20th principle. Let's review everything we've learned. Reviewing helps us remember better. The 80-20 rule, also called the Pareto principle, is a simple but powerful tool for life. It teaches us that not everything is equal. Some actions give much bigger results than others. A small number of tasks, habits, or choices often bring most of the success, happiness, or progress. We have seen examples in many areas. In your daily life, only a few clothes or meals are used most often. In friendships, a small number of people bring the most joy and support. In work or school, a few tasks give the biggest results. When learning English, only a small number of activities give the most progress. In business, a few clients or products create most of the profit. And in money, A few habits bring most of the financial benefit. The 80-20 rule helps us focus. First, notice what brings the most results or happiness. Second, spend more time on those things. Third, reduce the time spent on less useful activities. Fourth, balance the important things with small, necessary tasks that keep life smooth. Fifth, check regularly to see if your focus is still working and adjust if needed. By following these steps, you work smarter, not harder. You focus on what truly matters, save energy, reduce stress, and achieve more. The key lesson is simple. A few things give most of the results. Small, smart actions done consistently bring big changes. Focus on the 20% that matters most, while still keeping balance with the necessary smaller tasks. That is how the 80-20 rule can make life simpler, more productive, and more joyful. The 80-20 rule shows us that a small amount of effort can give big results if we focus on the right things. Let's review the key ideas and see how they connect to our daily life. 1. Understanding the main idea. The 80-20 rule, also called the Pareto principle, is simple but powerful. It says that 80% of our results often come from only 20% of our effort. This means not everything we do is equally important. Some actions bring much more progress than others. If we can find these important actions and focus on them, we can save time, reduce stress, and reach our goals faster. The key lesson is simple. You don't have to do everything. You just need to do what matters most. 2. How the 80-20 rule works in real life. This rule isn't just an idea. It shows up everywhere. Here are some examples. Learning English. Speaking and listening every day can help more than memorizing long word lists or studying difficult grammar rules. Real practice gives the most improvement. Work. At your job, 1 or 2 tasks, like solving key problems or talking to important clients, often bring most of your success. Other tasks just take time without giving much benefit. Health and daily habits. A few habits like walking regularly, sleeping well, or eating balanced meals give most of the health benefits. The small things that really matter make the biggest difference. Relationships. A few people in your life bring most of your joy, love, and support. Spend more time with them instead of trying to please everyone. By looking at your life and asking, which few actions give me the most value, you can spend your time and energy wisely. Focusing on the small number of things that matter most brings the biggest results. 3. How to apply the 80-20 rule. Using this rule is simple, but effective if you stop and reflect. Ask yourself these questions regularly. What actions this week or month gave me real results? What can I stop doing or do less of? Where should I spend more time and energy? You don't need to track every minute or worry about exact percentages. The numbers are just a guide. The important part is noticing patterns and understanding what really helps you improve, feel happy, or succeed. 4. Small steps for big results. The 80-20 rule works best when you take small, consistent steps. For example, if speaking English helps you most, spend more time talking each day. If walking or exercising improves your energy, make it a habit. If spending time with a few close friends brings joy, focus on those relationships. At the same time, don't ignore smaller necessary tasks like cooking, cleaning, or basic work responsibilities. These things may not bring huge results immediately, but they keep life smooth and balanced. The 80-20 rule is about focusing on what matters most while still managing the smaller, essential things. 5. Keep checking and adjusting. Life changes, and what works today might not work tomorrow. Once a week or month, reflect on your actions. Are you still focusing on the most important things? Do you need to adjust your priorities? This is how the 80-20 rule becomes a habit, not just a one-time idea. It helps you work smarter, live better, and spend your time on what truly matters. The main takeaway is simple. A few important actions give most of the results. By noticing these actions, focusing on them, and adjusting when needed, You can achieve more, stress less, and enjoy life more. The 80-20 rule is not about doing less. It's about doing the right things well. The 80-20 rule helps you focus on the small actions that bring the biggest results. To use it well, you need to notice what really helps you grow and do more of that. 4 common mistakes to avoid. Thinking it means being lazy. Some people believe the 80-20 rule allows them to avoid work. That's wrong. You still need to put in effort, but in smart ways. Focus on the actions that really make a difference. Being perfect with numbers. Life doesn't always follow exact 80-20 numbers. Sometimes it's 70-30, 90-10, or 60-40. Don't stress about exact percentages. The goal is to notice the few things that bring the most results. Ignoring the small things, daily habits, kindness, rest, and small responsibilities may seem minor, but they are very important.
Don't cut them out.
These small things keep your life balanced, peaceful, and smooth. 5. The main message. The most important lesson is this: small, smart effort equals big results. When you focus on the few actions that truly matter, you don't need to do everything. Doing what works is enough. 6. A real-life example. Imagine 2 students learning English. Student 1 studies everything: grammar rules, long vocabulary lists, reading passages, but never practices speaking. Student 2 speaks a little every day, listens to English podcasts, and uses simple words to communicate. After a month, Student 2 feels more confident and fluent, even though they studied fewer hours.
Why?
Because they focused on the most effective actions, not just doing more. That is the real power of the 80-20 rule. 7. Applying it to your life. Whether you are learning English, building a business, or improving your personal life, ask yourself, what small 20% of actions will give me 80% of progress? Start there. Focus on that small, important part. You will move forward faster, with less stress and more success. A gentle reminder and small challenge. The 80-20 rule is not just about work or study. It's about living smarter, making better choices, and focusing on what truly matters. Try this. Today, notice 1 or 2 small actions that give you the biggest benefit. Spend more time on them. You don't have to change everything at once. Small steps, done consistently, lead to big results over time. By seeing the few actions that create the most value and focusing on them, life becomes simpler, happier, and more effective. Remember, it's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things well. The 80-20 rule helps you be more aware and use your energy in the best way. Take a moment to think about your daily life. What do you do that gives you the most value, happiness, or growth? Maybe it's a short morning routine that makes you feel ready for the day. Maybe it's 10 minutes of English practice that improves your speaking. Maybe it's something simple like walking outside, reading a good book, or spending time with family. Ask yourself, what small things give me big results? You don't need to change everything at once. Start small. Pick one habit to improve using the 80-20 rule. Maybe it's your English practice. Instead of trying to do everything grammar, vocabulary, reading, focus more on speaking and listening. Maybe it's your work. Instead of doing many small tasks that don't matter, focus on the few that give the most results. One small shift can make a big difference over time. If you ever feel overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, is this the 20% that really matters? That simple question can guide you to smarter choices every day. Thank you, and next steps. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I know you have many things to do, and I appreciate that you chose to listen and learn here. Your time and energy are valuable, and I hope this lesson gave you something useful that helps you grow. If you found this helpful, come back for the next episode. We will continue learning and growing, step by step, at your own pace. Remember, this podcast is not just for listening. Speak aloud with me. Repeat key phrases and use your voice. That is how real learning happens. Share this episode with a friend who is learning English or working on their goals. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. Leave a comment or review. That helps more people join our learning journey. Keep going. Keep practicing, keep growing, and keep making smart choices. Focus on the few actions that truly matter in your life. By doing this, you can achieve more with less stress, enjoy your time, and feel more confident and successful. The 80-20 rule is simple, but powerful. It works in everything: work, school, health, relationships, learning English, and even daily life. Remember the key lesson: small, smart effort brings big results. Notice what gives you the most value, focus on it, and reduce the things that don't matter as much. This will make your life easier, happier, and more productive.
Start today.
Pick one small action that gives you big results and spend more time on it. Keep asking yourself every day, what really matters most? By following this idea, you can live smarter, work smarter, and learn faster, step by step, day by day. The 80-20 rule reminds us that we don't need to do everything. We just need to focus on what really matters. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and stay consistent. You're doing great, and I'm proud of you. Every small step you take brings you closer to your goals. Keep going. You're on the right path.